Hello, bonjour, Calgary. Did you know that at least 238,000 people speak Français in Alberta and that 90,000 live right here in Calgary? Oui, oui, c'est vrai. It's true. And now, thanks to Shaw Community Access Programming, we get to reach out to everyone to let you know all about our special people, places, events, and activities happening in this fair city in both English and en français. That's right, mes amis. We begin the first part of our program in English and then we repeat it en français. So stay with us. Hello, bonjour, Calgary. Today we're chatting with architect Robert LeBlond from LeBlanc Partnership. Welcome, Robert.
C'est ça, oui. Merci. Fier d'être ici.
And tell us a little bit before we start on your work, a little bit of your background, where you're from and how you ended up in Calgary, Alberta.
Yeah, I was born and raised in Montreal. I spent most of my education, secondary school in Montreal and in French. And then I came out west through, I thought I would be an Air Force pilot, you know, a navigator, a pilot. And I was in the Air Force for a couple of years. And they helped me understand the country. And at the time, I was going to save the country, you know. Then got disillusioned with that, so decided to come back to Montreal, and I was in Winnipeg at the time, and Ontario and Winnipeg, and then a year each, and then I went back to Montreal and then decided to rethink my career. So then I spent a lot of time thinking about what I was going to do, and then I remember, you know, when I was in high school, there was a guy, an architect that came in 11th grade, you know, and said, "Hey, this is what architects do, you know, engineers do that, but architects do this," you know. So I was kind of taken up by that, and then because of the fact that it wasn't linear, I was always going to be an engineer at one time, but it wasn't linear. It was
creative,
holistic, and spiritual, and mental, and the whole ball of wax. So I decided I would tackle that. So because it was another challenge, because I didn't know where I was going to be. You see, so I decided to go to McGill, and then I went through all the school 3 years, and then I figured, well, by the time I get to fourth year, if I don't do well, I'm going to go into medicine or something. So I decided to stick it up to third or fourth year, and then I did very well at school. So I was pleased with that. So I figured, well, I was always looking for comfort from the teachers that would say, "Robert, you're going to be okay." You know, that's what it. So when I came out of McGill in 1968, they gave me such good marks and stuff like that. So I felt good, and I felt I came out of the doorway. Hey, I'm somebody today.
And from McGill, you decided to come to Alberta to try something new?
Well, at the time, you know, the idea was, where do you go? Where do you work? It was post Expo 67. And then I was quite enthralled with Expo 67. There was a lot of architecture in Montreal at the time, but there was not that much work, and I had a good job in Montreal. See, so my keenness to come to Alberta, it was through my teachers and my dean that said, "Hey," and there was a guy in Montreal from Calgary, as he was doing his master's thesis at McGill, so he had looked at my thesis. And then he said, "Hey, Robert, you better come to Calgary." So I was pussyfooting around. And then in August, he phoned me up from Calgary, and he said, "What the hell? You're supposed to be here. And I got a job for you, and I've got tons of work." And so I told my wife, well, we better we better look seriously about this. And then it was a tough decision to get out of Montreal. I loved Montreal, and it was a good neighborhood. And so, but then you got to think, well,
new city,
change.
very young,
That's
lots
right.
of opportunities for an architect, I guess. Eh?
That's right. So when I came west here to Alberta, I didn't see anything. I didn't see daylight for a couple of years, just in projects over projects. We were doing. I got all kinds of accolades from projects that I did. I don't have them all here, but I got tons of even at the early stages.
What was the first project? Do you remember?
Oh, it was a housing project that I did in Forest Lawn, Alberta, and I got an architect's award for it. You see, so then I went to apply for my membership for the association. I got my membership a year later. You know, generally it takes 3-4 years to get a membership in the association. Well, they said, "Well, you better get. We got this guy here. You better give him a license." So in 1970, I was an architect in the Alberta Association of Architects.
And when did the idea of the project for Head Smashed in Buffalo Jump came about?
Well, that's a long ways because you gotta develop a voice, a vocabulary, you know, and then a skill, and then so that came in. There's a couple of projects that first of all you gotta. I did a thesis in McGill, so that's why the housing project with this architect.
Okay.
I got an award for it. I was pretty good in housing, so we did tons of housing for all kinds of people. That's what kept me alive for a good 4 to 5 years, and then decided to look for government work, and so I did the Drumheller courthouse in Drumheller, and then it did get one of the better courthouse in the United States, in Canada. And then because that was the beginning of my thinking that the courthouse should be judging the guilty ones, you know, by itself, not being indifferent to what's going on inside the courthouse. So, and then it was kind of a push away from the regular little house with 3 stories and the flag on top. See, so the head guy of the government said, "Robert, we don't do white elephants in here. We're not gonna." So anyway, in the end, they decided to build it, and it became one of the best courthouses in North America. And then after that, you know, then the Head Smashing came along the way. See, because they came to me and he said, "Hey, you want to do this?" I didn't have to even work for it.
So what was there? Nothing before?
In terms of there was this was a World Heritage Site. Government wanted to do. It was a federal government building a site before, and then the Alberta government took over the responsibility of doing a World Heritage Site. So they asked. I guess they were concerned about having the right guy to do, the right designer to create a building that would be of stature to the site, because it was a World Heritage Site. And then there was nothing there, buffaloes roaming around. And then I had a look at that, and then...
Did you get involved with the First Nations to
Oh,
be able
yes.
to
Well,
do that?
of course. You know, we had major meetings with the Autochthon, the First Nations, and they had an idea of what to do there, and we took it all into their spirit, and then so the biggest thing that I was mentioned to them 25 years later. I said, you know what the design of that thing is? It's about the revenge of the buffalo. They never caught on that.
Chance.
The buffalo in space up there in the clouds is the revenge of the buffalo spirit, you know, against the extravagance that white society has done to the buffalo.
Yeah.
So he thought it was but they really liked the building, and they really have their hearts in that project. It was quite an effort for me, because it was right up my alley, because we worked on the program for it before we got involved in the design. So I made them say to me that, Robert, do us an invisible building.
Ah, that's where it came from.
That's
it's
right.
all in the rocks.
That's right. See, because they were because it was a World Heritage Site, so they were quite concerned about doing an extravagant,
too fancy
flag in the space,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So why don't you just say you want an invisible building for a couple of miles away, see, somewhere. So they did that. So then they gave me the ammunition. Now you said, I want an invisible building. I could spend some money to make it invisible.
Yes.
So because before in Drumheller, that was the big to do. How much? You see. So everything costs money. Whatever you call it.
Yeah.
So we did exactly that and took a lot. And the answer came. I sweated quite a bit over a good year, trying to find the answer, how to make an invisible building in there, on that site, because it's all exposed, the grass.
Well, I guess
the answer is,
you succeeded, and you got the Governor General medal for that project as well.
Yeah, that's right. But this is a very preferred recognition. It's one of the highest in Canada, So, but what I was going to say is that the answer to the invisibility is a gopher hole.
Yes.
So the idea is, when I thought about how do I put a door there in the grass, I was always stuck on the green metal door, So when I said no doors, you see, a hole in the earth, see. So then that became the answer.
Very natural.
And then the rocks were the squirrels dug out hole. The rocks outside are all the remnants of the exercise of digging a hole. See. So it's a natural habitat.
Yeah, natural habitat
for human beings.
Yeah.
So that's what the answer came out that way, So, and then so it's a successful story.
And you also got an international award.
Yeah. Well, after we received this award. In Hawaii, they have a program to support buildings that support culture of someone's nation, of someone's culture. So
heritage.
Culture. Yeah. So we submitted it to them, and then that was quite an honor to be one of
selected.
5 top firms in the Asia Pacific, U.S., South America circuit. So we went to Hawaii to receive a sum of money and the prize to receive that.
Nice. And we didn't talk very much about your family, but just in a minute or so, is your family all here now?
Yeah, well, we have 2 daughters, and then one of them is in Calgary, and the oldest one, and then the one that was born during school years, and then the other one came in right after we were here. We got here, so they're pretty matured person. We have 3 grandchildren, 3 boys. 3 boys. One from the Oregon. The youngest one is living in Oregon, and the oldest one is living in Calgary, and then they got 2. She's got two boys, and then one is 8 and 10.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, Robert, this is all the time we have in English.
Oh my God.
So we'd like to thank you for being with us, and we will continue en français.
Certainement.